Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
We are breaking down chapter 167, Frontline.
And what a frontline it is. We have spent this entire arc watching King Cobra try to hold his kingdom together with his bare hands, refusing to fight his own people.
He's been the calm center of the storm, insisting on finding the truth before drawing his sword. He has acted as a dam, holding back a flood of violence with nothing but his own conviction.
Well, the truth just arrived on the back of a duck, and the king is done waiting. This chapter, the entire board gets flipped. The pieces that have been slowly moving into position are suddenly sent flying. If you want to be here for the moment a kingdom declares war on a warlord of the sea, make sure you're following the show. You don't want to miss a single move as we march towards Alabasta.
Let's begin. The chapter opens with the Straw Hats in the desert, finally leaving Yuba behind. They've had their rest, they've seen the depths of Alabasta's despair, and now they have a target.
Vivi's got the map out. Destination, Rainbase, home of the Rain Dinners Casino, and more importantly, home base for Crocodile. It feels like we're finally on the offensive. No more running, no more reacting. They're taking the fight to the big boss.
Nami's ears perk up at the word gambling town. Of course they do. Her immediate association is not with the Warlord's fortress, but with the potential for profit. It's a wonderful bit of character consistency. Even in the middle of a desert, facing a national crisis, Nami is Nami.
Of course they do. You can almost see the little berry symbols in her eyes. But before they can even get going, we get this perfect little moment, a classic Straw Hat moment that tells you everything you need to know about them. Luffy and Usopp are about to start a brawl over their water rations.
It's a scene we've seen variations of countless times. Luffy wanting more food, Usopp trying to be the voice of reason, Sanji usually stepping in to kick them both. But this time it's different. Luffy is guarding one barrel in particular, and he won't let anyone touch it, not even a single drop.
And Usopp is losing his mind. He's doing the math. He's like, look, we're all going to die of dehydration if you hog this whole barrel. And from anyone else's perspective, he's totally right. But Luffy is just immovable. He's got this serious look on his face. This isn't a game to him.
He's created a perimeter around it. This barrel of water has become his treasure, more valuable than any gold. And then we learn why.
And it's not just any water. It's the water Toto gave them. The water that old man spent a lifetime digging for. Luffy, the guy who eats everything in sight, the guy with a stomach that's a literal black hole, refuses to let anyone drink the water that symbolizes one man's hope.
It's such a powerful follow-up to their time in Yuba. That encounter wasn't just a pit stop. It was the emotional anchor for Luffy in this conflict. He saw Toto covered in sand, digging in a dried-up oasis, holding on to a sliver of hope for a city that no longer exists, and it resonated with him on a fundamental level.
Exactly. It's pure respect. We saw him get furious when he found out Crocodile stole the rain, but that was an abstract idea. This is tangible. He saw what Toto went through, what that water cost him in sweat and lifetime, and he's honoring that struggle. That's our captain. He can be the biggest idiot on the sea one minute, and the next, he gets it. He always gets the things that actually matter.
It's not just a gag. It's a sign of how deeply that encounter in Yuba affected him. He understands the weight of that water now. To him, drinking that water would be the same as telling Toto that his life's work, his hope, meant nothing. For Luffy, who lives by the weight of promises and dreams, that's an unforgivable act.
And what's super about it is that none of the crew questions it once they realize what it is. Zoro, Sanji, Nami, they all just get it. They understand Luffy. They know that this isn't just him being selfish. This is him carrying a promise for someone else. He carries the weight of other people's stories.
Vivi seems to get it too. As they walk, there's a quiet moment between them. She thanks him for everything, for giving her the push she needed to keep fighting when she was ready to give up. She's essentially renewing her faith in him as her ally. It's a quiet, formal recognition of their bond.
And Luffy's response is just peak Luffy. It's so good. He just tells her to make sure he gets a feast after he kicks Crocodile's ass.
No grand speeches, no talk of justice or heroism. Just a simple transactional promise, sealed with the expectation of a full stomach. It completely disarms the sentimentality of the moment, and yet it makes the promise even more real.
It's all she needs to hear. It's not complicated. He's not doing it for political reasons or for a title. He's going to fight for her country, and all he wants in return is to share a meal with his friends. That's the whole deal. That's the entire alliance right there. A future where they can all sit down and eat together.
It's a perfect encapsulation of his worldview. The world is saved, not with treaties and declarations, but with sincere personal commitments. A shared meal is the ultimate sign of peace and friendship to Luffy. By asking for that, he's telling her he fully expects them to win, and for her to be in a position to host a royal feast. It's the highest form of confidence he can express.
Man, I love this crew. Okay, but while our heroes are having these powerful, quiet moments in the desert, the rest of the country is exploding.
From there, we shift scenes to the rebel army's camp in Kataraya, and the mood could not be more different. The air here is thick with tension and desperation.
And man, this scene hits hard. Oda is a master at this. He shows you the big picture, the armies and the politics, and then he zooms all the way in on one little kid to make you feel the real stakes. We see the shoe shiner named Kappa, who can't be more than 10 years old, begging Koza to let him join the rebellion.
He's full of a fire that is both inspiring and terrifying to see in someone so young. He wants to fight for his sick friend, for his town that's drying up. He's trying to sound tough, declaring that he's not afraid of the hospital or the graveyard.
A kid shouldn't even know he should be afraid of those things. He's just a little boy, but he's already seen so much pain and suffering that he thinks the only solution is to pick up a weapon and die for the cause. It's absolutely brutal. He's talking about it like it's a game, like he's signing up for a sports team.
He believes in the rebellion with the pure, uncomplicated righteousness of a child. He sees Koza as a hero, and he wants to be a hero too. He sees this as a noble cause, a grand adventure.
He's ready to be a soldier, but Koza just shuts him down, cold. There's no gentle letdown. He just looks at this kid who idolizes him and says, "No, go home."
It's deliberately harsh, and to make the point clear, he has one of his men, Farafra, show the boy his arm, or what's left of it.
Just a stump, wrapped in bandages. A reminder of the real, ugly, painful costs of this war. It's not an adventure. It's not glorious. It's this. It's losing pieces of yourself. And Koza forces this kid to look at it, to confront the reality of what he's asking for.
And it's presented so matter-of-factly. There's no dramatic speech, just the quiet, grim reality of the war. This isn't a hypothetical danger. It's the price of admission.
And Koza tells the boy their goals are the opposite of his. Kappa wants to fight. Koza and the rebels, they don't. They feel they have no other choice. It's such a critical distinction.
The line that stood out to me was when Koza said, "None of us want to fight." It's a rebellion born of desperation, not bloodlust. He's not building an army of glory seekers or fanatics. He's leading an army of fathers, brothers, and sons who feel they've been backed into a corner with no way out.
You can see the weariness in his face. He's not some warlord reveling in his power. He's a man carrying the weight of 1,000,000 lives on his shoulders, and he hates it. He hates that it's come to this.
This scene does so much to humanize the rebellion. Up until now, they've been a faceless mob, a force of nature that threatens to destroy the kingdom. Here, Oda reminds us they're just people, scared, angry, and desperate people.
And then he just yells at the kid to go home. Get out of here. Go home. It feels so harsh, but you know exactly why he's doing it. He's trying to scare the idealism right out of him. He's trying to protect him.
It's the only way he can. He can't show weakness or softness, or other children might be inspired to join. He has to be the stern, unyielding leader. He has to crush this kid's dream of being a soldier to save his life. It's a cruel kindness.
One of his men asks him about it later. He says it's not like Koza to shout at a child. And Koza's answer just breaks your heart. He takes off his goggles and you see the pain in his eyes.
He says, "I was exactly like him years ago. It made me sick."
Bro, that line, that's devastating. He sees his own reflection in that boy, that same righteous, naive anger that started him on this path, that belief that fighting was the only way, that it was a noble sacrifice.
And he knows where that path leads. It leads to men like Farafra losing limbs. It leads to sleepless nights and impossible choices. It leads to becoming a person who has to yell at children to save them. He sees the beginning of his own tragic story in Kappa's eyes, and it disgusts him.
He hates that this is what his country has come to, that kids feel like their only option is to pick up a sword and die. He's not just leading a rebellion to overthrow a king, he's trying to stop this sickness, this cycle of violence from spreading to the next generation. But in leading the rebellion, he's become the symbol that inspires them to join. It's a paradox he's trapped in.
It's a heavy burden. He immediately pivots to logistics, asking about weapons. It's a defense mechanism, burying his personal anguish under the practical concerns of a commander.
And the news isn't great. The Royal Army is making it tough for them to get the supplies they need. They're getting squeezed. They're running out of time and resources. You can feel the desperation mounting.
This is the moment of decision. All the waiting, the gathering of forces, it all comes to a head here. Koza's mind is made up. There's no turning back now.
He gives the order. Notify the rebels in every town. Once the weapons are ready, they march on Alabasta, the capital city.
The point of no return.
The attack is imminent. The civil war is about to officially begin, and it's all built on a lie. While Koza's making this impossible, heartbreaking choice, we cut to the man he's about to fight.
To the Alabasta Palace and King Nefertari Cobra.
And the contrast is incredible. The palace is grand and opulent, but the mood is just as tense as the rebel camp. His top guards, Pell the falcon and Chaka the jackal, the two guardian deities of Alabasta, are begging him to let them attack the rebel army.
They are loyal, powerful warriors. Their instinct is to meet a threat with force. They see the rebellion as a disease spreading through the country, and they believe the only way to cure it is to cut it out before it consumes everything. From a purely military perspective, their logic is sound.
Chaka is practically yelling. He's saying the people in the capital are getting anxious. The soldiers are getting restless. He's afraid that if they don't act, they'll lose control of their own forces. They're arguing for a preemptive strike to restore order.
But Cobra refuses. He's resolute. He stands there, calm and unwavering, and says that attacking his own people without understanding the root cause of their suffering would tear the country apart permanently. Even if he won, he would have lost the kingdom.
What a king, seriously. Everyone around him is screaming for war, for a simple solution to a complex problem, and he is the only one saying, wait, we are being manipulated. He's holding on to this one crucial truth, even when it's politically and militarily inconvenient.
He has an incredible depth of understanding. He knows that the rebellion isn't the true problem. It's a symptom of a deeper illness. He explicitly says their true enemy is the one who used the dance powder in Nanohana. He's focused on the puppeteer, not the puppets.
But Chaka is not wrong either. He's like, we might not have time to find them. The country is going to collapse right now. It's the classic dilemma. Do you treat the symptom to survive the day, or do you hold out to find the cure even if the patient might die in the meantime?
Still, Cobra won't budge. He'd rather risk the throne, risk being overthrown, than fire the first shot in a civil war against his own citizens. He's holding the line with pure moral conviction. He understands that the moment he attacks the rebels, he proves their narrative right, that he is a tyrant who doesn't care for his people.
Crocodile has him in a perfect trap. If he does nothing, the rebels attack. If he attacks, he becomes the villain and fuels the rebellion even more. There's no good move.
It's the tragedy of Alabasta in a single scene. You have two noble leaders, Koza and Cobra, who both love their country, who are both fundamentally good men, being forced into a war they don't want by a phantom enemy they can't see. They are perfect mirrors of each other in this chapter. Both are surrounded by people urging them to fight, and both are deeply pained by the prospect.
It's a perfect trap, and Pell and Chaka are feeling the pressure. They're worried they won't be able to keep their own soldiers in line for much longer. The whole kingdom is a powder keg, and they're just trying to stop anyone from lighting a match.
Pell even wishes Igaram were there. A small moment, but it speaks to how much they relied on him. Igaram was often the buffer, the strategic mind that balanced their warrior instincts. With him gone, the weight on Pell and Chaka is even greater.
And just as they're lamenting, a messenger arrives. Someone has reached the palace, battered and exhausted, but they made it.
Not just someone, Karoo.
Karoo, the fastest duck in the world. He made it. He crossed that impossible desert, dodged Baroque Works agents, probably fought off sand scorpions and whatever else lives out there. Bro, this duck is a warrior, a true member of the Straw Hat crew. He's earned his spot a dozen times over.
He collapses, clearly at the end of his strength, gulping down water from a fountain. But he's done his job. He's delivered Vivi's letter.
Cobra, Pell, and Shaka all read it together, and Oda just lets the scene breathe. No dialogue for a few panels. You can just imagine the crushing silence in that room as the truth finally, undeniably lands.
Everything they suspected, everything they feared, laid bare in Vivi's handwriting. Crocodile, a hero of the people, a government-sanctioned warlord of the sea, is the one orchestrating their country's destruction. The name of their true enemy is no longer a phantom. It has a face.
And there's more. It's not just intel. The letter also tells them that Igaram is gone, that he sacrificed himself to save them. The gut punch of that news, it's gotta be immense.
For Cobra, that's a loyal servant and a friend of decades. For Pell and Chaka, that's their brother in arms. The man they just finished wishing was by their side, they now learn is dead. The emotional impact of that news, layered on top of the revelation of Crocodile's betrayal, must be devastating.
You see it on their faces. Pure shock. And Chaka, even in this moment of crisis, he notices the bandages on Karoo's wing and asks if he's hurt. But Karoo just pulls his wing away and gives him a look. What a tough little guy. He must have powered through a terrible wound. He's not looking for pity. He's a soldier who completed his mission. Super duck.
After that moment of shock and grief, you can see the king's expression begin to shift. We see the sorrow turn into something else entirely.
Pure, cold rage. The kind of rage a king gets when his friends are murdered and his country is bled dry. Cobra gives the order. Prepare the entire royal army. And they're not attacking the rebels. They're marching on Rainbase. They're going to war with Crocodile.
The king has made his move. He's no longer waiting, no longer reacting. He's taking the fight directly to the source of the poison.
That's it. That's a king right there. He got the intel, he knows who the real enemy is, and he's not wasting a single second. Forget the politics, forget the optics. He's not going to let his people kill each other for Crocodile's amusement for one more day. He's going to strike the head of the snake.
But Pell, ever the strategist, immediately points out the flaws in the plan. And he's not wrong. His duty is to advise the king, even when the king is acting on righteous fury.
He's not. He's being the smart, level-headed one. He says Rainbase is too far for their army to reach covertly.
And worse is the political fallout. This is the masterstroke of Crocodile's plan. He's a public hero, the man who stops pirates. If the royal army launches an unprovoked attack on a warlord of the sea who is beloved by the people, it will look like an act of paranoid tyranny. It will only serve to legitimize the rebellion.
It's the final piece of Crocodile's trap. It's brilliant in how evil it is. He's made himself untouchable. Attacking him is political suicide. Not attacking him means letting the country die. It's a perfect checkmate. Any move Cobra makes, he loses.
But Cobra's response is bone-chilling. He looks his most trusted guards in the eye, and he says he doesn't care what becomes of them, of the royal family.
That line. That is everything. Read that again, Robin. That is the whole damn series in one sentence.
I do not care what becomes of us. If we allow the rebels to attack Alubarna, we will be playing right into his hands. If Crocodile were to fall, the people would surely rebuild this country, but a battle against the rebels would only create a deeper wound.
That's it. He is willing to sacrifice his own life, his reputation, his legacy, the entire Nefertari dynasty, if it means taking down the man who is poisoning his kingdom. He is prioritizing the future of the nation of Alabasta over the future of the Nefertari monarchy.
He's choosing the kingdom over the crown. He's choosing his people over his own position. He is willing to go down in history as a mad king, a tyrant who attacked a hero, if it gives his people a chance at a future free from Crocodile's influence.
That is super. That is the heart of a true king. It's not about power or wealth. It's about sacrifice. It's the ultimate act of leadership. It gives me chills, man.
This is what Luffy saw in him. This is the kind of person Vivi was fighting to protect.
The decision is made. All debate is over. He orders Chaka to gather his officers and Pell to scout the enemy's location. The army departs for Rainbase tomorrow morning.
The king is riding out to war, not against his people, but for them. And the final panel hits you like a ton of bricks.
A shot of Crocodile's casino, rain dinners at night, and a text box that reads, 17 hours remain until the start of Operation Utopia.
The clock is ticking. A countdown has started. We don't even know what Operation Utopia is, but it sounds bad. All the players are moving. The Straw Hats are heading to Rainbase. The Royal Army is heading to Rainbase, and the Rebel Army is about to march on Alabasta.
It's a collision course. A four-way conflict is about to erupt, with two armies converging on Rainbase and a third on the capital. And Crocodile is sitting right in the middle of it all, holding all the strings. Or so he thinks.
He doesn't know about the rubber man who just wants a decent meal. He doesn't know about the super duck who just crossed a desert. He's calculated everything except for the unpredictable, chaotic force of the Straw Hat Pirates.
It really makes you wonder how this is all going to collide. Who is going to reach Rainbase first, and what exactly could Operation Utopia be?
All right, what do you have for next chapter? Chapter 168. Give me your best shot.
My first prediction is that we're going to see the direct consequence of Koza's order. The chapter will open with the rebel army beginning its march on Alabasta. Oda has set 2 clocks ticking, the Royal Army's departure and Operation Utopia's start. I believe he'll set a third one in motion immediately by showing the rebellion is officially on the move. The Civil War will finally begin on screen.
Ooh, I like that. Kicking it off immediately, no time wasted. For my first one, I think we check in on the villains. We haven't seen Crocodile or the other officer agents in a minute. We need to reestablish his presence. I predict we'll get a scene inside Rain Dinners, where an agent, maybe Mr. One or Miss All Sunday, gives Crocodile a status update, and through their conversation, another small, chilling detail about what Operation Utopia actually entails will be revealed.
That feels very likely. We need to see his perspective again, to feel his control over the situation before the Straw Hats arrive to disrupt it. For my second prediction, I think we're going to see Smoker and Tashigi again. They've been quiet since Nanohana. I believe they've picked up a new lead. Maybe they interrogated some low-level Baroque Works agents or found some evidence, something that points them directly to Rainbase. They'll be on their way, adding a 5th faction into this massive, chaotic pileup.
Yes, the Marines. I totally forgot about them. Smoker is not the kind of guy to just sit on his hands. He's out there hunting. That's a great call. Okay, my second prediction is a little more straightforward, a little more Straw Hat-centric. We will see the Straw Hats arrive in the city of Rainbase, and before they can even think about finding Crocodile, Nami is going to see the lights of Rain Dinner's casino, drag half the crew inside, and immediately get them into some kind of high-stakes, gambling-related trouble that blows their cover completely.
That feels almost a certainty. A city of dreams filled with vice and deception is the last place a crew this loud and subsubtle should be trying to conduct a covert operation.
Right? It's inevitable. It's a town full of temptation, and our crew is not known for their subtlety. Luffy will probably try to eat the slot machines. Zoro will get lost on the way to the bathroom and end up in Crocodile's office. It's going to be a beautiful disaster.
A very dangerous place for them to be. We'll see if they can handle it, or if Crocodile's trap springs on them before they even find him.
That's it for this week. This was a heavy one, but man, things are about to get super.
Join us next time for Chapter 168.